Hey everyone, today we're reading Exodus chapter 2 together, and we're going to get a fast frame view of the first 40 years approximately of Moses' life. And boy, was it eventful. God's hand is so evident in orchestrating Moses' life, and we're going to dive right into that right now. Moses was born during a time where the Pharaoh was trying to control the population of the Israelites. So he'd issued this decree that all male babies were to be killed as soon as they were born. But Moses' mother hid Moses until she couldn't hide him anymore. And here comes the famous story where Moses' mother hid him in a basket, put him in the Nile River amongst the reeds, and then who finds him but Pharaoh's daughter? And then, where the story even goes further crazy, she says, in verse 9 of chapter 2, she says, "Take this baby and nurse him for me." She's talking about Moses' actual mother. So she says, "Take this baby and nurse him for me." The princess told the baby's mother, "I will pay you for your help." So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, "I lifted him out of the water." Wow. So fast forward many years later now, Moses has grown up in Pharaoh's family, knowing that he is not like them, knowing he is a Hebrew. He is an Israelite. And here comes a plot twist. In verse 11, it says, "Many years later, when Moses had grown up, he went out to visit his own people, the Hebrews, and he saw how hard they were forced to work. During his visit, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. After looking in all directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand." And so after this, Moses runs away to the land of Midian because the Pharaoh's trying to kill him for what he did. And while he is in Midian, the many years after some time, Moses marries a woman, a Midianite named Zipporah, and they have a son named Gershom together. So, are you still with me? I know that's a lot that has happened in 40 years, but how can you see already how God's hand has been in Moses' story? And that's not going to stop here, but the chapter isn't done. There's 3 more verses in this chapter that when I read them, I was just overwhelmed by the power of the words, and we're going to read them right now together. Starting in verse 23, it says, "Years passed, and the king of Egypt died, but the Israelites continued to groan under their burden of slavery. They cried out for help, and their cry rose up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He looked down on the people of Israel and knew it was time to act." Okay, in my mind, I am cueing the Mission Impossible music. God is about to act. He is about to continue the work that he started and promised to Abraham. Do you remember that covenant promise that God made to Abraham about how he was going to make his name great? He was going to make him, his line, into a great nation. And that promise continued to Isaac and to Jacob, and now it's going to continue in this people. But years have passed since God made this promise. And as we have already read in the book of Exodus, the Israelites are in slavery and have been for years. They are enslaved. They are under the Egyptians and are, as we just read, they're groaning under what they are being asked to, but what they're being forced to do by the Israelites. And I just want to take that on for a second. Have you ever felt like God had forgotten you? Because I could imagine that in this time, the Israelites were remembering this promise that God had made to Abraham, to their people. And they're like, "Where are you, God? We're hurting. We're enslaved. Where are you? What happened to your promise?" But this last line, God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he was saying, okay, it's time to continue the work. And I want to encourage you today that as we continue to read through Exodus, I want you to remember and see that God is a God who sees. God is a God who sees how his people are hurting, and he is a God who remembers his promises, who acts on his promises. And so our God is faithful, and he's going to bring about his promise that he promised to Abraham through these people. And God is going to continue to move and work in your life because he is faithful. You can take that promise to the bank. God sees you. He sees what you're walking through, and he's going to make a way through it. Hear that today. Grace and peace to you. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.